OCO, I hold us up. Welcome to the Red Road East. I'm your host, Fierce Truth Seeker. Alright, so we finished with the lineage of the Aboriginal movement. Okay, so now we can start getting busy. Um, like I said, the way that I share information is that lay a foundation first. Okay, lay a foundation. So we started off with the lineage because if I didn't clear up what the lineage of the movement is, then nothing that I'm saying onward to the point where we are now would make sense. Because you all would be thinking that the Moors got the narrative from the quote unquote Indians, okay, or the Aborigines, you see, which doesn't even make sense because it's one and the same anyway, okay. So where we are now, so we're on the second phase of the Empire Strikes Black. Okay, let me shorten this a little bit. Okay, we're on the next lecture in the Empire Strikes Black series. Okay, give me 1 second. So I'm going to keep this at half an hour. All right. So we're gonna get busy. I'm gonna get y'all through this. So here, the next topic of discussion, the next lecture is The Empire Strikes Black. Oh, so I gave y'all the wrong. This is the wrong backdrop here. It's supposed to have that crayon. What's that crayon? All right. Anyway, you know what I mean. The Empire Strikes Black. Moors and Indians, friends or enemies? The true oustery of the fez and the feather. All right. So we have that here. And I know that there were questions from some people in the comment section. That I needed to address. I hope I'm not messing the names up because I don't have the comment section open because I want to get through it this quickly. Brother Walker, I think it was Calvin Walker was the first name. I know that you wanted some information and I did not forget you. However, I'm saving that. It's in sequence, so I want to do this in order and I don't want to deviate too far from the topic. Okay, so let's just bear with me and lay this foundation. Who else? There was another brother in the chat, Brother Ibrahim. Okay, I didn't forget you either. You wanted to some information too. I think. Wait a minute. The last time I did address your concerns, but I'm gonna go in even deeper. Okay, in regard to the prophet and stuff like that. Okay, and the deeper meanings with the teachings. Okay, so just hold your questions. Did not forget you, but I want to, this is a series. So when we get to that part, all of your questions will be addressed, okay? So just bear with me. Let's just get through with this. Let's just get through with this so that we can get there in a timely manner, because I'm definitely going to end this at 30 minutes today. I got to work in a few hours. So I need to get some sleep, okay? There hasn't been a whole lot of viewers, and a whole lot of likes, so, I'm not wasting my time, with a whole lot of dialogue. I'm going to just get through it, get into it, okay? So, the points of discussion that we're going to deal with here for this lecture: the term Moor is not of Greek origin. That's point number one. Number two, I may not go in this order, but these are the topics, these are the points. The Moors are not enemies of the Amerindian, but rather one and the same people. Point three, the extent of our Aboriginal empire. Number four, Freemasonry and how the mixed-blooded American Indians sold out the Moors. Okay? So let's get into it. The term Moor. Okay, so we're going to first look here. And this is a little journal that I put out. It's called Olmec Renaissance. For those who know me from street vending, you know about this journal, periodical that I put out called Olmec Renaissance, okay? And this one is the Winter Edition 2018, Volume 7. The Real Wakanda is in America, the Grand Motherland, okay? And in Olmec Renaissance, what I do is give y'all excerpts from my book that's been about 20 years in the making, okay? And give y'all excerpts, from that book. Hopefully I'll have it published, inshallah, before the summer is out, okay? All right, so this is an excerpt from one of the pages, okay? The term Moor. This is coming from the Olmec Renaissance. Okay, so it reads: a big topic of discussion regarding who the ancient people of this land has to do with the Moor, the Moors, M-O-O-R-S, and Moors, M-U-U-R-S. There's a lot of misinformation circulating with regards to the history of the Moors of the Western Hemisphere, as well as the origin of the term and the people. One of the reasons for this confusion is due to the fact that most people feel that the Moors were only in Spain from 711 AD to 1492 by way of North Africa. However, Moors were all over the globe from the most ancient of times. Most texts and reference books gives the etymology of the term Moor thusly: Moor, noun, North African, Berber, one of the race dwelling in Barbary, late 14th century from Old French more, M-O-R-E, from medieval Latin morus, M-O-U-R-S, from Latin Maurus, M-A-U-R-U-S, inhabitant of Mauritania. Roman Northwest Africa, a region now corresponding to northern Algeria and Morocco. From Greek Mauros, M-A-U-R-O-S, perhaps a native name, or else cognate with Maurus, black. But this adjective only appears in the late Greek and may as well be from the people's name as the reverse. Also applied to the Arabic conquerors of Spain. Being a dark people in relation to Europeans, their name in the Middle Ages was synonymous for Negro. Later, 16th century to 17th century, being the nearest Muslims to Western Europe. It was used indiscriminately of Muslims, Persians, Arabs, etc., but especially those in India. Cognate with Dutch Moor, M-O-O-R, German Moor, M-O-H-R, Danish Maurer, M-A-U-R-E-R, Spanish Moro, M-O-R-O, Italian Moro, M-O-R-O, related Morris, M-O-O-R-E-S-S. Okay, and the reference for this information that I read for you, okay, is etymononline.com. Okay, you see that right here in the footnote. I give the reference. Anything that I say, it's one thing about me. I believe in, responsible scholarship. I'm not pulling this information out of thin air. I give you references, and I give you from more than one perspective. Okay, and that's how you do your research. You give your references, and you come from all angles. Okay, so I go on here. Realistically, the term, now this is my words here, it's no longer coming from Etymon Online. Realistically, the term war can be traced back much further than the dates ascribed above. According to the late Dr. Yusuf bin Yaqanin, prominent Egyptologist who had been professor at large at Al-Azhar University in Cairo, Egypt, teaching Nile Valley civilization, said in his book, Cultural Genocide, on page 14, that Moors, Cathadans, or Carthaginians, Tamarians, Egyptians, Ethiopians, or Ethiopians, Puantites, Numidians, Merorites, Ta-Nehisians, Nubians, Artagians, I'm bugging. You know it. It's that time of night. Okay, we're in the wee hours of dawn. It's almost sunrise, so I'm bugging out. And plus, this script here, as you can see, the script is very small. I should make this bigger, right? Amanisians, Hesperians, and Africans are only a few of the names we were called with honor by the ancients, Asians, and Europeans thousands of years before the Western Hemisphere, before the Western European knew anything. I need to go to bed, man. I'm bugging out. Let me read this again. Are only a few of the names we recall with honor by the ancient Asians and Europeans, thousands of years before the Western European knew that the Americas existed. Okay? And the reference for this, I'll give you in the footnote, Cultural Genocide, Dr. Yusuf Ben Yakinen. Okay? Page 14. All right? It is also very important to clear up some misconceptions about the presence of the Moors in Spain. Firstly, the Moors were in Spain much earlier than 711 AD. In The Golden Age of the Moors, edited by Dr. Ivan van Sertima on pages 1 to 2, says, it is generally assumed that the movement of Africans into Europe in significantly large numbers into positions of real power did not occur until the Muslim invasion of Spain in 711 AD. In Al-Makari's History of the Mohammedan Dynasties in Spain, however, we learn of a great drought that afflicted Spain about 3,000 years ago. A catastrophe that was followed not long afterwards by an invasion from Africa. That is, of course, had nothing to do with the medieval Moors, which this book is primarily concerned. But it is worth noting here because it actually established an ancient African dynasty in Spain, a fact that is omitted from the official histories. I'm missing something here. Let me see. 24. Oh, let's see. You know, I'm so sleepy. I missed a whole. Yeah, I had to go back. I missed damn near a whole paragraph. Let's go back. I knew it was something when okay. Let's go back to the part where I quoted from Dr. Ben. Okay, so what I left out, I told you, sleepy. The sun is about to rise. Okay, that's to let you know how late it is. In the night, you can't say the night anymore. It's in the AM now. It's like the next day, so it's not the night anymore. So what I left out was Dr. Ben in a discussion of the untold truths in religion and Western culture in relation to African Americans in 1987 at the University of Montevallo, Alabama, also said, quote, there came a time in 1506, after we lost power in Spain. The Africans ruled Spain from 711. We were calling ourselves Moors, Moors, and Maures, then Moors, Moors. Okay, and this can be found on YouTube. Okay, it's the reference is https://www.youtube.com/watch ? Lowercase v, that looks like a equals, lowercase k, uppercase r, uppercase f, lowercase f, the number 6, uppercase c, uppercase y, lowercase z, lowercase m, _g. Okay? And that particular quote is found on 2915 of the timeline. Okay? And it's Dr. Clark and Professor Simmons is on that YouTube clip. Okay? So that's what I left out. Okay, so now, so he tells you right here, Dr. Ben tells you that we called ourselves Moors. So it's not some term that was given to us by the Greeks or anything like that. Okay, the term Moor predates the Greeks by a long, long shot. Okay, and it's only people who don't research that will say such nonsense. Okay, anybody telling you anything like that, you run far away from them real fast. Real fast, really fast. Okay, because they don't know what they're talking about. And it's irresponsible scholarship. Okay, real talk. It's irresponsible scholarship. All right, let's move forward because we're a few minutes away from that half-hour point, and I'm gonna cut it at half an hour because I'm gonna get some sleep. All right, so so it is also very important to clear some misconceptions about the presence of the Moors in Spain. Firstly, the Moors were in Spain much earlier than 711 A.D. In the Golden Age of the Moors, edited by Ivan Van Sertima on pages 1 to 2, it is generally assumed that the movement of Africans into Europe in significantly large numbers into positions of real power did not occur until the Muslim invasion of Spain in 711 A.D. In Al-Makari's History of the Mohammedan Dynasties in Spain, however, we learn of a great drought that afflicted Spain about 3,000 years ago, a catastrophe that was followed not long afterwards by an invasion from Africa. This, of course, had nothing to do with the medieval Moors with which this book is primarily concerned. But it is worth noting here because it actually established an ancient African dynasty in Spain, a fact that is omitted from the official histories. Okay? All right? Let me see here. Second. Okay, so now on the next page, the Olmec Renaissance, I continue. The drought that devastated Spain, however, is described by a number of Spanish historians, Pedro de Medina in Libro de las Grandezas de España, published in Seville in 1549, dates the drought at 1070 BC. Excuse me. Ibn I Khatib al-Makari in his major historical work translated by Pascual de Gayanjos describes it in some detail. Pardon me for butchering those words. I'm butchering those words badly. Describes it in some detail. It is al-Makari who informs us of how Africans banished from North Africa by an African king against whom they revolted entered Spain and took control of that country. The leader of the Africans is recorded as Batricus. What his original name was, we do not know, but it survives as Batricus in the Latin of the Romans, because it was the Romans who defeated these Africans 157 years later. These first cast anchor at a place on the western shore of Spain and settled at Cadiz. Advancing into the interior of the country, they spread themselves about, extended their settlements, but cities and towns, and increased their numbers by marriage. They settled in that part of the country between the place of their landing in the west and the country of the Franks in the east, and appointed kings to rule over them and administer their affairs. They fixed their capital at Italica, a city now in ruins, which once belonged to the district of Ischia, which is the modern Seville. But after a period of 150 years, during which 11 kings of the African race reigned over Andalus, they were annihilated by the Romans, who invaded and conquered the country. The second major intrusion of an African army into Spain before the Moors occurs sometime around 700 BC. Okay, BC, not AD. During the period of the 25th dynasty of Egypt, when the Ethiopian Taharka was a young general. But before he had been seated the throne by his uncle Shabbataka. It is this same Taharka, referred to in early Spanish chronicles as Tarraco, that led a garrison into Spain and invaded it during this period. We have a clear and indisputable reference in a manuscript by Florian de Ocampo, Oranica General, published in Medina del Campo in 1553. The name of the invading general is given as Tarraco. He is not only identified as the head of the Ethiopian. He is not only identified as the head of the Ethiopian army. The reference is more specific. It says he was later to become a king of Egypt. The name, the period, the historical fact of his generalship and his later kingship of Egypt, his Ethiopian origin, and the wide-ranging trade and expansion of the Ethiopian in this period all attest to the validity of this reference. But most persuasive of all is the fact that the cartouches of the Upper Egyptian kings of this period have been found in Spain. Evidence of such cartouches may be found in the Journal of the Epigraphic Society, Volume 7, number 171 to April 171, April 1979. The cartouche of Shoshank, a Libyan king, was found in Tomb 16. Almanzor, Spain. The Libyans ruled with the support of Nubian armies from the 22nd to the 24th dynasties and were overthrown by the Nubians in the 25th. Okay? And this information is coming from the Golden Age of the Moor. That whole thing I just read to you is coming from the Golden Age of the Moor, edited by Ivan Van Sertima, page 1 to 2. Okay? So here we have established the fact that the Moors have a very ancient presence in Spain that goes back over 1,000 years before 711 AD. I feel that it is necessary for me to add that there is much confusion about the term Berber. Before 711 AD, I'm bugging. You know I'm very sleepy. I'm almost falling. Let me begin this paragraph here. So here we have established the fact that the Moors have a very ancient presence in Spain that goes back over 1,000 years before 711 AD. I feel that it's necessary for me to add that there is much confusion about the term Berber. Many people believe that the Berbers were a mixed Caucasoid race. However, the original Berbers were a Negroid people / Moors, North African ancestors of the present-day people of the Sahara and the Sahel, known as Tuareg, Fulani, Zenagba of southern Morocco, Kunta and Tebu of the Sahel countries, as well as other dark-skinned Arabs now living in Mauritania throughout the Sahel. Okay? And this information here is also coming from the Golden Age of the Moor, edited by Ivan van Sertima. And that what I just read to you is coming from page 4 of that book. Okay? Reading on. Okay, we're into the 30-minute mark. All right, let me see. I'm gonna try to. All right, I'm gonna try to read this page. I'm gonna read it fast and I'm gonna cut it. Okay. Another misconception is that there was never a Moorish empire. However, in India there was a Mauryan empire, 322 BC to 185 BCE under Chandragupta Maurya. Okay, and I have the footnote here for you with the reference. Article coming from Iran Chamber Society, Dahia, on the Jat Iranic identity of the Mauryans, page 126. All right, so you can find it. These Moors, M-O-R-S, originated in Iran and migrated to India. Maurya's name came from the Moor clan, a clan under the Jats of India. The Moors, M-O-R-S, / Moors, M-U-R-S, M-O-R-S and M-U-R-S, because somebody was saying, I don't remember who it was, I watched the video, but somebody said there's no such people as M, you know how we say Moors and Moors with the U. Somebody said that no such people existed. All right, so I'm sorry whoever said that. I can't remember who said it, but that just shuts that down right there. The Moors, M-O-R-S / M-U-R-S, are mentioned as the Jats in the 21st century BC. It can be concluded that the Maurya were the same people who were the same people who were attacking Egypt in the 21st century and called Jats by the Egyptians and others. Okay? According to an article from the Iran Chamber Society entitled Dahia on the Jat Iranic identity of the Mauryans by Dr. Samar Abbas, Aligarh, India, page 26 states, the Moor, M-O-R, of India are the same as the Moor, M-O-R-E / M-O-O-R, of Europe. Our purpose is not to write their history, but to identify these people. It is now generally agreed that the old clan name Maurya, M-O-R-I-Y-A, offers a very satisfactory explanation of Maurya, M-A-U-R-Y-A, the name of the dynasty founded by Chandragupta. On page 133, the article continues. Thus, the Mora, M-U-R-A, and Naraka are identical with the Mora and Nairi of Assyrian records, and the present Moor and Nara clan of the Jats. This area was definitely in the west of India, rather in the northwest. And I know I'm going to mess up this East Indian word here. Pragiotisa was his capital city. At the time of Mahabharata, it was ruled over by Bhagaduta, who is called a king of Yavanas, and also a king of Asuras. He was a friend of, the words got messed up here on when it converted from PDF to this other file, so it doesn't have the full word here. It's got squares in the word, so I can't pronounce that word because the whole word is not there. He attended the Ragasuya, sacrifice of Yahudi Hira. Arjuna defeats him in the north, Sabaparva, point 26.7, and in the war he is killed by Arjuna. Vajradhara, son of Magadha, was also killed by Arjuna. I apologize for butchering these words. I don't speak that language, so pardon me. In Sabaparva 13-13, Mura and Naraki are both stated to be rulers of the West. The above discussion would clearly establish that the country of Mura, M-U-R-A, was in the northwest of India, and the present city of Merv can very well be identified with their ancient capital. As was already mentioned in Iranian literature, this city was called Morav, or More, M-A-U-R. Ooh. Sounds like what Dr. Ben was saying. M-A-U-R, M-A-U-E-R. This information is extremely important for anyone doing research on the history of the Moors. Later you will see just how critical this information is to the understanding of Moorish studies. On page 132 of this same article, it states, the identification of the Mauryas with Central Asia, and in particular with the city of Mar or Marav, present Merv, is further strengthened by Indian literature. In the Mahabharata and the Parajas, I think it says, it's got a square there, so the whole word isn't there. Pardon me. This is this conversion file. These people and their country are called Mura or Maru. Ooh. All right. It's not looking good for the Moor bashers. This is not looking good, because when you see where I'm getting ready to go in this part of the book, it's just going to crush a lot of mythology that a lot of Moor bashers have about the Moors. Okay? Mora and Maru. So you already know where I'm going with this, just based on those two words. These are practically the same forms of the name which appear in the Assyrian records as Mor, M-O-R, or Muru, M-U-R-U. Okay, and I give the reference. Okay, this is that same article from the Iran Chamber Society. Okay. It's on page 132. Evidence exists showing that the Mauryas were from the ancient Manda Empire, and much earlier they were named Muru or Mor by the Egyptian and in the scriptures, where the Moors, M-O-R-E-S, were called All right, this is where Brother Carlton Walker, all right, get out your notebook Get out a pen and piece of paper. So even though I didn't have one of your, I know you had a couple other questions, or one other question. This is the answer to one of your questions. I remember you speaking about the Amaru. So this is one reference that you can look. But I go in much. I got a whole chapter dealing with this here. So this is just one reference. Okay. This is the Iran Chamber Society. Just look back in the video. All right. And this is another reference here. So just listen up. So where the Moors, Mores, were called Amaru. Amaru. Amuru. Amor. Amor. Amorites. With regards to the Amorites, Bible Hub, okay, this is where you get it from, one of the references. Bible Hub notes that a people descended from Emir, the fourth son of Canaan, Genesis 10:16. They first peopled the mountains of the west of the Dead Sea, near Hebron, but afterwards they extended their limits and took possession of the finest provinces of Moab and Ammon. Moab, ooh, Moab. It gets deep. It gets deeper. On the east, between the brooks, Jabbok and Aaron, Numbers 13:29, 21 to 31, Joshua 5:1, Judah 11:13. Moses took this country from their king Sihon. The lands which the Amorites possessed on this side Jordan, which were given to the tribe of Judah, and those beyond the Jordan to the tribes of Reuben and Gad. The name Amorite is often taken in scripture for Canaanite in general. And when you know who the Amorites are, okay, I'm adding that in here. The Amorites, all right, those who really know. Amorites, all right, but I get into that later. I'm not going to spoil it for you. Amorites is taken in scripture for Canaanite in general. Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Prophet Noble Drew Ali. See Canaanites. Okay. By the expression, thy father was an Amorite, and thy mother a Hittite. Ezekiel 16:3. God reminds the Jews that they were naturally no more worthy of divine favor than the worst of the heathen Canaanites. Okay? Now I'm going to stop right there because it's going on an hour. And we'll pick back up. Okay? We still got a long way to go for this part of this series. Okay? We're on lecture 2. This is lecture 2 of the Empire Strikes Black series. Okay? Which is entitled Moors and Indians. Friends or enemies? The true oustery of the fez and the feather. Okay? That's this lecture. This is lecture 2. Right here on the screen. The Empire Strikes Black, Moors and Indians. Friends or enemies? The true oustery of the fez and the feather. Okay? So this is lecture 2, part 1. Until the next time, do-da-da, go home, eat.